So today, what I thought I would do is talk to you about, I'm going to share with you a little secret. A little secret that will make your life easier as a quilter. Here it is. You've probably heard it before. There's no such thing as having rules. Okay? Don't we love that? You know what? What are rules? Rules are what you determine they are. When it comes to quilting, I should add, when it comes to quilting, yes, there's a few hard and fast things, that 1/4 inch. Yeah, that's pretty important. Cutting is pretty important, but there's a lot of different ways to get the same result. So what I'm going to talk about today is a very simplified version of a traditional block. And it's called the Drunkard's Path. Any of you done the Drunkard's Path before? There's a lot of ways to do it. A lot. And the more you go out there and Google it, the more ideas you are going to see. So I'm going to share with you today one of the ways that I do it. And right, Diana said, do what you like, learn things, and use what works for you. Absolutely. Some of you might fold your arms, go, no, that's not the way you do it. Well, maybe that's not the way you do it, but there's 100 ways to do the same thing. So I'm going to talk about the Drunkard's Path. So let me first talk about the traditional way in a nutshell of how you do it. The traditional way would be to sew it. So the Drunkard's Path, you have a curve, and then you have the outside curve, and then you sew them together. And it's very time consuming. Basically, you are cutting both parts of it. You fold it in the center, find your center, give it a little finger press, fold it on both sides, give up a pin, put a pin here, put a pin here, put a pin in between. In fact, I think I've got a picture. Yes, I believe I did bring it. I brought it over here. Okay, this was me earlier today. As I was preparing for my demo, I wanted to show you the traditional method of using a Drunkard's Path. Take a look at that, guys. That's a lot of pins, is it not? That's a lot of pins. You have to go very slow around that. And then you have to, after you're done with it, you need to cut into the seam. Is that the way to do it? Yeah, that's one way you can do it, but you can get the same look by doing it differently. Now, let me show you a few pictures for those of you who might not be familiar with what a Drunkard's Path might look like, okay? And there are a ton of variations of the Drunkard's Path. So let me show you, as I went out on the great wide world web, I was able to take a look at lots of different variations that I want to share with you today. So here's one. You can see this one is actually sewn in. You can tell that on this. It is sewn in. You see lots of different colors. It is a very scrappy way to do it. Here we're looking at more of a two-colored one. And again, depending on the variation that you do is what it's going to look like. Here's another picture, a different variation. Still the same block, but it all depends on how you situate your colors, how you situate your blocks, and so forth. Okay, lots of different ways to do the same thing. This one is a Drunkard's Path block. It's with the circle, that half circle, or I should say 1/4 circle, and then blocks. But again, depending on the way you put it, it's going to look a little differently. This last one that I'm showing is from Nancy Zeman. That's also a very traditional Drunkard's Path block. So I hope that gives you some insight onto what I'm referring to. Here's, again, a quick pic of computerized one. You can see it is all the same block, but once again, depending on how you situate the block, it's going to make it very different. Now, if you take a closer look at the one that I wish I could put my mouse over it and show you, but it's the third one down to the very right. That I would say is the most typical drunkard's path block when you look at it in the traditional sense. And then it goes forward from there. But you can see there are so many different ways of doing it, so many different variations, that it's a lot of fun. Okay. So I see some of you use Elmer's glue. Yep, that can work as well. The sore finger method. You're right. Debbie says, I'm usually not a pinner. You're right. I'm usually not. I will use like the quick curve ruler, which I love, and I will sometimes do things with that. I have not done a drunkard's path with it yet. I've usually stayed to what like their patterns are, but you certainly could. But it's interesting. Deborah says, I like the more contemporary blocks. Yeah, that's what's really cool about this block is you can make it very, very traditional, or you can make it contemporary. And it all depends on two things. It depends on how you place your blocks and what fabric you use, right? So, yeah, Larry says he's done the block with hand stitching. It's slow, but he gets the result he wants. Absolutely. So I'm going to show you the quote unquote cheater method. But you know what? Really? I don't want to be called a cheater. So how about the convenience method instead? There's a difference. Cheater, convenience. Convenience, cheater. It is what it is. So I'm going to show you the convenience method of how to do it. This is going to be quick and easy and fast. If you're looking for something really simple to do, this is your ticket. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start out with cutting out a 1/4 inch circle. Okay, so when I say 1/4 inch, I'm talking about, or 1/4 inch. When I talk about a quarter circle, I'm referring to 1/4 of a circle. All right. To help me do that, I'm going to use this awesome tool. How many of you have this? This is the non-slip circle savvy ruler from Creative Grids. Love, 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 love. Okay, if you are into making circles or quarter circles or half circles, you want to have this. Ooh, I like that, Alice. Creative convenience. There you go. I like that a lot. So I'm going to show you with this ruler how I'm going to cut both the quarter circle as well as a full circle. And I'm going to knock your socks off if you've never seen this before. All right, let me grab my rotary cutter. Here we go. Let's bring this down. Here's my bottle. Okay. Now, basically, let me show you real quick before I cut. This has arcs. And so you see that it also has extended channels. Some might refer, though, to the ends as like little teardrops. And you're going to stick your rotary cutter up to a 45 millimeter. You could go smaller, but you're not going to be able to go to a 60. I would keep it to no more than 45. You're going to stick that into the teardrop, and it gets right into that groove, and it cuts it. Now, on this, let me see if I can pull this scrap of fabric here so you can see a little bit better. There is a line here. This one says the fold line. That's if you're doing a whole circle, and I'll show you that in a minute. And this is the 1/4 inch seam allowance line. So this takes into account if you are wanting the 1/4 inch seam into it. Okay, so if you were sewing it in, you would use this. If you are doing the fold line and you're doing the circle, you're going to use this. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to show you first how I do this circle right here. Okay, and I put this on the back of here. This is a great way to even use your stash because you just can keep using this over and over again. You could pre-cut your blocks so that you can actually do maybe 2 or 3 at a time. Just pile them one on top of the other. I'm going to line this up right here. And I'm going to line it up. Actually, with this one, I'm going to line up to the fold line, even though it's not folded, because I'm not sewing this into the block. I'm just simply placing it on top of the block. Okay. I'll decide, however big I want it to be. And this will actually cut up to a 15.5-inch circle, 15.5 inches in diameter. That's huge. And it will go down to a little one. All right. So it's like, I think there's like 22 different sizes you can do this with. So I'll go ahead. I'm going to do the, I don't know. I'll go ahead and do the 9.5. So I'm just going to kind of roll this along, and it slips right into the 9.5. It's slipping into the teardrop. Oops, there we go, and cut. And the nice thing about the Creative Grids is that it does have the backing on it. That is the non-slip grip. And there we go. Look how simple that was, my friends. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. And now I have a perfectly shaped arc right there. Now what I would do, and I could continue to keep cutting them, I would now add it to my block, and this is a much bigger block than I would usually do, but I'm going to place it in the center, or excuse me, in the top bottom. Oh my goodness, I can't get my words out today. In the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, there we go. Let me put it facing you. Bottom left-hand corner. All right, and that is as easy as it is. Now, how am I going to adhere this? For one, some people might think, well, Kris, what you could do is you could take heat and bond, like a fusible webbing, and you could cut that out at the same time. Or you could even fuse the heat and bond onto the back of the fabric and then place it on. The only problem with that is that it's going to add a lot of extra bulk to here. If you don't want the stabilizer, or excuse me, the fusible in there, the fusible webbing, if you don't want it in there because you still want a lot of nice drape to this, then there's a couple things you could do. And this is why I call it the cheater method, is because one, I might just use a glue stick. That's right. I might just go to the back of it, zoop, and then put it on there, press it with an iron, and now it's stayed in place for me to go do a zigzag stitch to it, to do a raw edge stitch to it, to do a blanket stitch to it, whatever you want. Okay, whatever it is you're looking for. So there is nothing wrong, everyone, with using a fabric glue stick. All right. There have been many a time I have done that to hold it in place. I did it on this one. Has wonderful drape to it. It's ready to rock and roll. It is ready to take to my machine, and I can do the blanket stitch. I could do a zigzag stitch. I could do a straight stitch, 1/8 of an inch inside, and let it fray. It doesn't matter. Okay. So that's one thing you can do as the convenience method, is to use a glue stick, glue it on, and you're good to go. Another thing you could do, if you would like to use heat and bond on it, but you don't want all the stiffness, like the whole thing covered with heat and bond, simply take a few strips of heat and bond, and just put on like 1, 2, and 3, right? Just around that curve. And you could just put it on and fuse it on like that. And then it's going to be stuck in place that way. Another thing you could do is you could take the heat and bond, and you could just trim the next one in line. So it'd actually be a small strip, but it would be curved to the same exact curve as your fabric. All right. And then you could do it that way. So there's lots of different ways. My goodness, you could even pin it if you wanted to. So lots of different ways to do it. Lots of ways to get the same result. Okay. So that is the quarter circle. Now, let me show you some examples here of what I've been playing with. Do you notice that One of the quarter circles is the green, but then an opposite one is the green background. So what another thing you could do is, like, if you wanted them to be opposite of each other, which is going to give a really cool look to it, you could stack up, in this example, you could stack up an orange, then a green, then an orange, and then a green, do them all at the same time, and you would have what you needed for this, right? For these quarter circles. If you wanted to sew it, you would also have the same thing. Okay. But we're talking about convenience method today. So with this, let's take a look and see what I could do. I could play around like it's a puzzle. And look at that fun block. Okay. If I sewed this now as a 4-patch, that would be really quite fun. You can see something going out here. You can see something going out here. So that's when we alternate. Now you could do this even more and take it another step further and have even more scrappy fabrics in here. You don't have to just keep to 2. I love the look of 2-colored quilts, which can be a lot of fun. But yeah, there are lots and lots of things you can do. Just start playing around, and you never know what you're going to come up with. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, let's take a look at another one I did. Okay, this one, I decided to use all the same for the quarter circle, and then I used all the same backgrounds. So let's take a look and see what happens when we do that. All righty. Okay, I'm going to do, let's see, here we go. This right here. This one right here. Play with that one. And yeah, right there. Let's see. No, that one I want right here. There we go. There we go. That is your typical drunkard's path. You can see it's almost like this little wobbly pinwheel, if you will. Now, can you think of some of the ideas that you could do with this? What if everything was this darker background? So you put all of the backgrounds were the same. And what if you changed up these into like different orange prints? That would be kind of fun. So it doesn't all have to be the same, but if you do want to keep some continuity, use your backgrounds, keep them the same, and now you have that traditional drunkard's path block. And then it goes out from there, and it just continues. It's really quite fun. Now, as I was playing with this, I also, let me see if I can remember how I did this. I also came to the realization, let's see, that I could do, something else here. Do you see what's happening here? See, there we go. I've now created, now this doesn't look as good because it's not sewn in, but hopefully you get the idea. I've created now like this diagonal line that if I were to do it in a quilt, I could create these really cool, funky, wobbly looking lines throughout the quilt. And that would be really fun as well. So that is another way of doing a drunkard's path. Kind of cool, right? So again, this is just an idea of, if you are okay with not having it sewn in, if you are okay with having it not be traditionally pieced, if you are looking for a fast, easy, fun way to put together some quarter circles, then this is your ticket, right? And then again, use either a little glue stick or use a little heat and bond. But if it were me, I would not cover the whole thing in heat and bond. I like having it loose down here. It's attached up here at the curve, but it's loose down here. And this will all be sewn in, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, that's all going to be sewn in when you sew your squares together. Try something small. If you think to yourself, you know what, that looks like a lot of fun. I want to try something. Try a little table topper. Try a table runner, or try a pillow, and see how it works for you. You might just enjoy it so much that you'll do even more. Okay, so that is that. But then Sable asked, can you trim the underneath layer? Yeah, you could. You certainly could, Sable. That wouldn't be a problem. It would definitely, let's see, I'm trying to pull this apart here. Hold on. There we go. It would definitely reduce any more bulk than having 2 layers. So yeah, you certainly could. You could trim it. And then if I were to do that, I would probably save these backgrounds and use them for smaller circles somewhere else. Okay. But let me show you another fun idea of what you can use. It's very similar to a drunkard's path, but it's something that many of you may know as the bullseye quilt. Have you done a bullseye quilt? This was popular back in the early 2000s, but maybe even earlier. But from what I remember, it was in the early 2000s that the bullseye quilt was really popular. And that is where you take a circle, and then you take another circle, and you take another circle, and you sew on top of them, and then you cut it in 4ths, okay? So let me show you exactly what I mean, and then I'm going to show you a really fun project that I did using the bullseye method. But it's kind of like a drunkard's path too. It totally depends on how you do it. Okay. Now this is a great stash buster. If you are looking for something to use so many different fabrics and talk about easy peasy, the bullseye quilt might be the one to go with. Some of you have. Yay. Sharon says she has, and so is Gloria. Okay, so let me show you how a full circle is made with using the Circle Savvy ruler. Okay. All right. So here's an example. I have a 10-inch red piece of fabric. I'm going to fold it in half one direction, give it a nice little finger press, and fold it in half the opposite direction and give it a finger press. So I've just folded it in 4ths. Okay. So again, I have the piece. I'm going to fold it in half one way, fold it in half again. So what I have is I have 2 sides that have a fold. This side right here has a fold, and this side has a fold. So then what I'll do is I'll just place my Circle Savvy ruler on the fold line, and I cut out the circle. So let's take a look at how that is. I've got to have it face my direction though on this one. Okay, so I'm going to line this up, fold line, fold line. And depending on whatever circle I want, oh, I should tell you, this is the half-inch sizes, and these are the 1-inch sizes. So you've got them all here. Okay, this side, looking good. Let's say I'm going to do an 8-inch circle. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of pull this down, let it drop in the teardrop, and you're going to go around very carefully. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. I think my blade got stuck. There we go. Okay, and now, and I've seen people use like paper plates. Yeah, I need to sharpen my blade. I've seen people use paper plates and such, but boy, this, I'll tell you, this is much slicker. This is a much easier way to go, especially if you have a sharp blade. I got to get that. Note to self, replace your blade, Kris. Okay, and take a look at this. I have a full 8-inch circle. Wasn't that simple? So easy to do, right? So now with this circle, again, I could have put heat and bond on it and added to it. But if you think about it, I'm doing 3 layers here. So then I would take another scrap of fabric and just where I did the 8-inch circle, maybe this time I'll do the 6-inch circle. And then the next time I do a 4-inch circle, or maybe I just do it by small 1-inch increments, right? So it doesn't matter which size you do. So I'm going to have a bigger, smaller, 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 and so forth. Okay. So from that point, what you're going to do is you're going to, let me grab that other piece of background I had. This was a 10-inch background piece I had. I'll place it on there. Okay. And again, if I wanted to, I'm going to use the convenience method. I'm going to either do a glue stick, and I certainly would not be worried about like making sure all of it's done. No, 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 no. You don't have time for that. Just do a few dabs, put it there, call it good. Okay. I would take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew. It depends on how much you want it to fray. If you want more fray, you're going to go 1/4 inch. If you want less fray, you're going to go 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch inside of the outside. Now, this method, you are going to get fraying, so you have to remember that. But that's kind of the charm of this kind of a quilt. So you can see here that I've done that. Now, if I wanted to make it into a drunkard's path, guess what I could do? I could cut it in half and then half this way. And I've got now have a drunkard's path block. So that's another easy way to do it because I have my quarter, my quarter, my quarter, and my quarter. Okay, so you're going to layer one on top of the other. Again, just quickly sew this baby down. Okay, just sew it down, 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch, it doesn't matter. All right. So at this point, you're going to have lots of different blocks using this. This is a great scrap, stash, buster, whatever you want to call it, because you want all your blocks to be different. All right. So now, oh, I didn't bring a straight ruler with me. Okay. I'm going to eyeball this. Well, I'll use the edge of this. This is an 8-inch block, so I'm going to cut it in half at 4 inches, and then I'll do it again. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. I know this is scary, but I'm going to cut it in half this way, and I'm going to cut it in half one more time. There we go. There we go. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have all these different colors, okay? This isn't going to be that cute right now because it's not worth sewing back together, right? It's all the same. But if you had different blocks that you were doing and you scramble them all up, this is going to be a dang cute quilt, right? So stinking cute. Now, look at this, everyone. This is also, this could be the start of a drunkard's path, right? So let's see what would happen here as just a variation of a drunkard's path. Let's see. Is that how I want it? That one. I have to kind of look at my, no, I want this. There we go. There we go. And now you can see the drunkard's path coming out this way. And look how cool that is. I mean, that gives a whole new look to it as well. So lots of the bullseye is really a variation of the drunkard's path block. So let me show you finally what I did with this. I made this little table runner. Okay. Oh, let me see if I can get that up here. Here we go. Okay. This is a table runner that I think is so fun in my kitchen right now. And I used it using the same method. And you can see that even the background blocks are different. So I used all the same colors or all the same color, but I used it different prints, okay, in my background. So they're all teal blue, but they're different prints. And all you have to do is just, Again, do the same bullseye method or the convenience method of doing a drunkard's path, putting it into a 4 patch. This is 1 block. This is 1 block, 1 block, 1 block. And then I just applicate on some leaves. I just put some, some border sashing in between. Very scrappy, kept it with the oranges. I love the colors of like an aqua with an orange together. I think they're great colors that go well together. And this is just a very citrusy look to a table runner. Check out my binding, yellow stripe, love that. And then my backing is an orange polka dot. So again, very, very simple to do. And it was based off the convenience method of doing the drunkard's path. All right, so that is it. What questions do you have? Oh, that's cute, Judy. She said you could put the circle in the middle white and make it a snowman. Absolutely, that would be way fun. I love that. A twister game for the littles. There you go. Oh, yes, Alice, it is okay to use the 505 spray. Absolutely. I try to, like, I use it, I use it a lot when I, like, do, like, stabilizing things. I'll use it, but if I'm doing a whole quilt, I really try to stay away from it because I don't like the fumes. But you know what? You certainly could. There would be nothing wrong with that at all. Okay. Kathy, thank you. Am I going to do a class on the table runner? I hadn't thought about it, but I could. I could let, yeah, I could do that. I could let Barb know. So watch for that. Maybe we'll make it into something else too. Maybe we could make it into Christmas ornaments. That would be fun. Or you could make it into lemons and have it ready for even next summer, or I don't know. There's lots of things you could do with this method. That'd be fun. Maybe you want to just not have it be a shape or like a specific shape, but just have it be a circle, right? And not make it into anything. You could certainly do that as well. So not a bad idea. Did you quilt over the circles in a straight line? I did not, Terry Jo. I stopped. So I did my quilting and then I just stopped right at the circle. And then I picked up over here. So I didn't go over the circles like that. Mm-mm. Pumpkin table runner. That would be cute. I like that idea. Karen, good job. Pumpkins. Several of you are saying pumpkins. Good job, Donna, Patricia, Tam. Let's see. How many layers on top of each flower, Mava? Well, Miss Mava, it is totally up to you. This is 4 layers, but you could do 5 layers if you wanted to, 3 layers, but this one in particular is 4 layers. I would say 4 layers is a pretty good mixture, of colors. So again, I kept with the same color, but different prints, which is kind of fun. Okay. Do I have a hit for that? I don't know. An apple for a teacher. That would be cute, Christina. I like that. Okay, beach balls. There you go, Laura. I like it. Yeah, there are so many things you can make out of a circle, right? So they're just fun. It's just fun. Absolutely. Ooh, I love that, Sue. You could use the circular foot for the sewing machine and put decorative stitches on the bullseye block. Great idea. Absolutely. For those of you who have a circular foot, those are awesome. If you don't and you want to do decorative stitches, this would be really cute too. So you just take it much slower, right? Than if you were using a circular foot. I love that. I know. I knew someone was going to say that. Alice, back in the early 2000s, I feel really old. Well, Yeah, I totally hear you on that. It's just when I really was getting into sewing was more it was the late 90s for me, and then but from what I remember, it was the early 2000s with the bullseye, when the bullseye block was so popular. It was just one of those things that everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, you gotta try this block because it's so fast and easy and it's mindless. Like you don't even have to think about it." And what's also true with that is that you don't have to worry about, like, if this is a little off, or this one's a little off and it's not matching up completely. It's okay. It's okay. That's kind of like part of it. So anyway, I don't have a kit for this. I do not have a kit for this. This is one I made last year. So I have no kit, but we could. It would just be a little bit different fabrics, but we certainly could. If I end up doing a class for this, I'll talk to Barb and see if we can get it on the schedule. Maybe we'll have different ideas of, like, if you want to do a Christmas themed one, or if you want to do, something that's like that. So, yeah, they're just fun. You could make those into pumpkins and make little jack-o'-lantern faces. Oh, there's so many ideas. So many ideas of what you could do. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little tutorial. Oh yes, Donna, use homespun and browns and oranges and then French chenille. Yeah, in fact, Donna, I think you're right. That was one of the first ones I remember. It was with homespun fabrics, and it's when homespun was so popular. We still see homespun quite a bit, especially when it comes to fall, autumn time projects, but we don't see it nearly as much as we used to. So definitely the homespuns will fray, really nice and such. So anyway, basketball, baseball, soccer ball for a boys quilt. I love it, Annette. That is so cute. So anyway, don't you think this is a lot faster and easier than doing the traditional pieced one? It just is. So it just depends on, what is it you're wanting? What is it you're looking for? Know that a pieced one is going to look a lot more clean. The raw edge, there's going to be a little bit of a fray to it. And if that's okay with you, then that is the way to go. This would be perfect for like a flannel quilt. If you were looking for a really fast, easy flannel, a camping quilt, or picnic quilt, or just wrap around at the stadium kind of quilt, this would be perfect, right? So lots and lots of different ideas. Have fun with it. Have fun with the technique, because that's all it is. It's just a technique. That's all it is. It's a technique. So you can do it with any size, any pattern, any fabrics, you name it. You could do it all. So, all right. So hopefully you learned something new, or maybe were reminded of something that, I haven't seen that for a while. And this gets me excited to try something new, or to try something again, whatever it might be. So again, as a quick reminder, I'll show you the pictures I showed earlier. This one from Nancy Zeman. Okay, now that you've seen how the block goes together, can you see how things are twisted and turn and in different ways? This is from Red Pepper Quilts. I love this one. I think I want to make one just like this. You see that they have a square in between each of those quarter circles, which I think is really cute. The Phoenix Modern Quilt Guild, this is where that's from. I love that look. The pinks and whites and blacks. Love that. Okay, if you were wanting to do flower blocks, something that looks more flowery, here you go. If you want something a little more geometric, here you go. And then here's another one, which I think is really fun and very scrappy. And then here's the final one where you see lots of different variations. And trust me, there are more and more and more than this. There are literally hundreds of different ways to do it. Okay, cool.